Hello everyone. Let me just check the stream really quickly. Cool, we are live. So, hello everyone. How are you guys doing? I hope you're all doing amazing. Welcome to the stream where we will be discussing some of the Medium articles. So, the thing is, I've had a lot of Medium articles pending for a while. I have a habit of reading every day, and Diwali festivities has been going on in India, if you are aware of it. So, yeah, I had been busy in the Diwali festivities, going to many of my relatives, spending time with them, and now I have a large chunk of Medium articles left for me to read. So I thought, what other way to complete them than to discuss them on the YouTube channel itself. So here I am live with you guys, and we'll be reading through some Medium articles, and we hopingly we'll have some fun. And the whole idea is that we'll read through some media articles, we'll highlight the important points in them, and see what's going on in the market overall, understand what new is there available in terms of AI, which is what we are interested in if you are in this channel. So hey, let's get started. Let me just share my screen. Nope, not this one, not this one. Okay, cool. This one. Yeah, here we are. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of Medium articles. uh, I guess I have not announced this stream. This was pretty random for me myself, so I'm not sure many of you would be joining for this. But hey, if you're here, we'll have some fun, okay? And give me some ideas if you have read some interesting Medium article recently, and you want me to go through it as well. We'll go through it together. Cool. Let me just check my audio real quick. If you are together, let me just check my audio real quick. Okay. Okay, the audio seems fine, I guess. Just a bit boxy, I think. I'm not sure why is that. I think I can use a better mic with my headphone. Let me just quickly try that if that works better for you. I know, the stream should be more professional. I should be doing this before. But hey, we are just starting off right now and we are trying to learn it as much as we can. Let's see if this is better. Let me just check really quick. Hello, hello. Is this better? Hello, hello. I think it sounds better. So anyway, we'll be streaming like this for now, or using this mic, which I think works better than the previous one. So yeah, I have my notebook, my handy notebook, where we'll be writing down the notes for anything we see important from the articles. And let's get started with the first one. No, this is not the first one. This is the first one. Guide to building secure backends in Fast API 2024. So if you're not aware of Fast API, Fast API is a service that is used in Python to basically create endpoints that can be used by a front end to perform basically some kind of a backend task for you. It's pretty much like Flask, I think, but much simpler, I'll say. Okay, so yeah, Fast API is a modern, fast web framework for building APIs with Python. Based on standard Python type, hence the key features that make Fast API stand out include its speed, ease of use, robustness, which come from its asynchronous support, and automatic data validation. Security is paramount when developing backends, especially when handling sensitive data or transactions. Fast API provides several built-in mechanisms to enhance security and help developers protect their applications. So basically, they have described what Fast API is, which we are all, I think most of the people working in AI must be aware with Fast API because this is the one uh, framework that is most commonly used to build backends when developing AI applications because it's pretty straightforward, it's pretty pedantic, and if you haven't tried it yet, please make a simple endpoint. Maybe we'll be working on a project recently in this channel where we will be building a fast API based endpoint. So that would be interesting because we'll be working with a large language model to make something similar to InShorts but in an automated way. We'll see where that will go. That's the idea for now. So okay, that's what they're saying. Security is paramount, as we are all aware of. If you have a sensitive data, you have to prove to everyone that the data is safe with you and it's properly encrypted. So yeah, so that was the backend security first. Let's directly dive into the, yeah, we know how fast API works. Let's directly dive into the methods they're using for making it secure. Oh, two password, API key transaction. Let's see. Authentication is a critical component of backend security, ensuring that only authorized user can access your Fast API application. Fast API offers multiple authentication techniques that you can implement depending on the needs of your application. Token-based authentication. This method involves generating a token after the user logs in, which must be included in the header of the subsequent request, or two with JSON Web Tokens. Yeah, there is one way of doing it. Basically, token-based authentication is where you have a encrypted token generated, which would be sent through the front end to the back end using the headers, basically. If you're aware of how a HTTP request is structured, let me just show you. I hope that's what it is called. Yeah, so there you go. So in a HTTP request, you have your basic request to the endpoint that you want to refer to. Then you have your headers. Headers contains all of your encrypted information, all of the password related stuff or something like that, and your general metadata. And body is something you send with your HTTP request. If you are having a post request, if you are having a get request, then your response would have the content for the HTTP request. But okay, so yeah, there's that. O2 password flow, API key authentication. Yeah, these are pretty basic stuff. I think they have missed out on the Firebase authentication one. That is also a great technique. So Firebase authentication. Yeah, it's pretty simple to use actually. All of the you can use you just have to go through the documentation once, and you can just, I think it is available for free as well, or at least for low traffic, that is. Yeah, that is one of the use techniques for authentication that they have missed out on, I think. But okay, I think it makes sense. It must be getting covered in some kind of a some other one maybe. Does Firebase use O2 or something, or is it a completely different service? I'm not aware. Oh, okay. It leverages industry standards like OAuth 2.0. So, okay, so Firebase also uses OAuth 2 techniques. So I think they have covered it in this. That's cool. So these are your authentication techniques when implementing authentication. Remember to store passwords securely. Use hashing techniques like bcrypt to store your user passwords. Never store plain text passwords. Yeah, all the basic stuff. Authorization and role-based access control. Role-based access. Okay. So what is your opinion on it? How do you create a role-based access control in any API or in any of your applications that you make? Mm. So I think one of the simplest way of implementing a role-based access control is to just create whatever database you are storing your data in, the role for every user you're storing. You must be storing all of your users somewhere. So there you can have a role as a, what do you call it, as a feature, as a column, whatever you want to call it in your terminology. I'm not sure what the database terminology is, but yeah, so basically you can store it in your database column as something like role, and whatever the role is. So when you're displaying the pages to the user, whatever you want to show. So if one of the page has a role based access, for example, an admin page or something like that, what else could be role based? Maybe profile, or if the user has a profile, then only you want to show them. If there is a guest user, then you don't want to show the profile page. something like that. If you want to have that, you can just have a backend check on this page that you only send the data for this page and you only display it from the front end as well. When they have the particular access, when the user has that particular role that is required for this kind of page in their database. Because see, the point is, if you just have a check in the front end, then you'll be facing the problem where the user can cheat through it. They can change the request that is being sent to the backend and change their role there. Or if you are okay, one of the ways of doing this can be if you're just sending the ID to the backend and then the backend uses that ID to fetch the user, then maybe it can be a bit safe, but I'm not sure how much safe it is from hacking. Now, this is entirely not my field. It was just a article that I found interesting. So, but I'm not sure if you're sending the user ID, if no one has access to your database and you're pretty sure that your database is safe, then no one should be able to get the data from the backend if they don't have that particular role. Or like I think one of the ways of hacking it can be trying random user IDs. And if you don't have a check for how many requests you can make per second and something like that, then it could be easily hacked. So yeah, that is one way. So instead of just checking the user ID, but you are not okay. You are not displaying. You are not cannot access your backend endpoints. No, they can. They can. They can. Okay. Okay, that's tricky one. User ID, and you want some kind of a token authentication in the header as well. Can't just use a user ID. Okay, let's see what their solutions are to role-based authentication. Defining roles and permissions. Start by defining the different roles in application and the specific permissions each role has. This could be as simple as admin, editor, viewer roles of the varying level of access. Create models for role and permission. So, okay, this is pretty much simple to what we were discussing earlier, where you define the roles in the database, assign roles to the user. Yeah, this is also very simple. Verify roles and endpoints. Okay, so that is pretty much what we described. But I still think it can be hackable in some ways, right? If you're just sending the user ID to the backend. But okay, one more thing is that the user is not able to access our website if they don't give us the correct tokens, right? So we have a front page, so they can't directly access our backend if they don't give us the correct headers. Yeah, I think this should work fine. Okay, makes sense. You have a safety wall ahead of it. So after that, breaking that safety wall, okay, so with the header also needs to match the user ID. So you can't try different user IDs until and unless you have the headers from them as well, which is not possible until and unless the OAuth 2 application that you are using gives away the headers. So at that point, you are pretty much like the security is hampered from the OAuth 2 application you are using. And I think when you're using something as trustable as Firebase or something like Cloudflare or something, you don't worry about these things because if someone is able to hack through them, a lot of websites will be vulnerable at that point. So you don't need to worry about that in most of the cases. I'll say. Cool. And by the way, just to make sure we are all on the same page, this stream is not meant to be educated stream from my side. I'm not trying to educate you on something. We're just reading through some articles together. I'm also trying to learn here, so don't expect too much input from me. These articles are the ones that I found interesting because I don't have much knowledge about them right now. That's the whole point. Yeah, cool that we get it out of the way. Great. Secure sensitive endpoints. Okay, keep authentication logic separate from business logic. Okay, makes sense. Leverage fast API dependency system. Build dependencies that handle authorization checks for different roles and permissions and makes your authorization system modular and easier to manage. Okay, use scopes often. Scopes can be used to grant permissions to a more granular level within roles. For example, an editor role might have different scopes for editing posts and editing comments. Okay, scopes. How are you defining scopes? Okay, I think. Okay, I guess. Okay, makes sense. So what you're doing is that basically you check what the role of the particular user is and what they are trying to edit or what kind of access do they get based on that. So you just have a page level or function level control on what each role can do in a more modular fashion as such, because you're defining scopes initially with respect to each user ID, so you don't have to create a large number of if-else statements. You just have a particular set of access pages that is available for a particular user role. So makes sense. A fast API dependency system. Let's quickly check that out. What's that? FastAPI has a powerful but intuitive dependency injection system. It is designed to be very simple to use and make it very easy for any developer to integrate other components with Fast API. Okay, dependency injection means in programming that there is a way for our code, in this case your path operation functions, to declare things that it requires to work and use dependencies. Okay, this is very have shared logic, shared database connections, and for security, authentication, and role requirements. Let's quickly read through the example. So we're defining two endpoints right now and depends on common parameters. What do you mean depends? So what you're telling me is it's a very weird syntax, by the way. Annotated ticked depends. Very non-intuitive. I don't agree to this. This is not intuitive, guys. This is not intuitive. Fast API is scam. They are lying to us. Obviously, they are lying to us. But okay, let's see what they mean. Can we get a working example? Can we see the outputs of something or whatever? Calling a dependency function with the correct parameters, get the results for your new function. Assign the result to the parameters in your path operation function. This way you write your shared code. When you need to use common parameters dependency, you have to write the whole parameters with the type annotation and depends. Okay. As the dependencies will also be called by fast API, the same rule applies for different functions. You can use result or normal def, and you can declare using inside of the normal def path. Okay. So queue skip limit. Okay, makes sense. So basically, what's happening is, um, whenever we pass in a set of input that is going through this function, whatever is our depends function, and whatever the depends function returns is what we are going to be finally sending as our input for this function. That's why we're saying commons is common dep, which is annotated dict, which comes from this thing. What is annotated? What does this word? Let's our friendly neighborhood chatbot. What is annotated? Or use let's see. Python analysis is used in typing module to add metadata to type hint. This metadata does not alter the type, but yeah, we know how type it works. Thank ChatGPT for your stupid extra shit. Frame annotations request validation dependency and behavior. Type and metadata. Metadata is adaptation function that can be a function class or any other metadata relevant to the annotated type. Oh, okay. Okay, so depends is what is telling the fast API that whatever function we want as our dependency, and whatever we pass in and as an input first goes through this dependency function, and then it is sent to the as an input to our whatever the function we are using with this type hint. So the metadata here is describing to fast API what function we need to pass in as a dependency for our final function. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, so I think this makes sense, right? So whenever we are doing this kind of a role-based access implementation, then we can think about doing something like whenever whatever endpoint requires some kind of a sensitive data or deals with that, we will be using a dependency injection there, and we'll be depending it on a check with the Firebase system if everything is working or not, if the user ID matches the token in the header or not. So yeah, that makes sense. Great. Data verification and serialization best practices. These are just basic good coding practices. Use type annotations, use pydantic validators for complex validation, use define pydantic models, leverage fast pair building and validation security features that we have already discussed, serialize responses using pydantic models. Fine, everything is fine. Uh, Database security. Okay. Using ORMs and stuff makes sense. Secure database search. Yeah, that makes sense. Error handling and logging for security audits. Oh, okay. Keeping logs as such. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Logs are basically helpful if you are like if you want to go back and see where the security breach happened. Logs can be of great help. Logs are basically like a register that your guard keeps in your building that keeps account of whatever has been going on inside the building, whoever came in, whoever went out. If any kind of a robbery or a murder occurs in your building, the guard will know through the notebook who entered and didn't leave or who was the prime suspects, indicating that whoever entered that building at that particular time. So yeah. Logs are your guards, basically, in some situations. Other than that, I'm getting bored of this article already. Let's move on to the next one. I'm not the web developer, so I am primarily AI engineer. So next article. Why developers offer miss the mark on monetization? Okay, this one is interesting because I was recently thinking of dwelling into some side projects for passive income or just in general to explore different fields, not necessarily as an income source. So let's see. It's portrayed as the developer's ultimate dream, building that one software that generates passive income and brings financial freedom. It is rather excessive to dream, but a somewhat possible one. I started building, deploying, and selling various software products throughout the past 25 years of my programming experiences. And here's for my experiences. Damn, 25 years is a lot of experience for someone who has just been 3 to 4 months into professional programming. Let's see. I founded businesses large and small, and I generated reasonable revenues as an indie developer, something I love doing a little more than growing companies or pursuing a corporate career. My indie developer activities were and are always a side hustle to my corporate job. As a solo indie developer, I had to learn to fail regularly the hard way. Safe to say, I made almost every mistake in the book. This article is about the approach that works for me and an insight that helped others. And this is such an amazing idea that you have to fail regularly the hard way if you really want to learn something. Now, I'm not saying I'm not sure if that's what he was implying here, but I think the idea makes sense. Like, if you're open to this idea that it's fine to fail and it's fine to fail the hard way after committing everything to something, that's when you learn the most. If you're okay with that idea, if you're comfortable with that idea, that's when you'll be able to explore most of the things in your life. So, yeah, that's good. Ideas and software don't actually make money. Makes sense. I really don't want to read through it. There's no such thing as passive income. It's true. There's low effort income, but there is no passive income. Let's see what he has to say about this. Let me get this off my chest first. There's no passive income. There are business activities that requires a lot of your employment, and there's those who require little less over time. The reason a lot of people make mistakes for software as passive income is because it takes a lot of upfront investment and then less over time. You can get software to run for months without maintenance investment. Makes sense. So you have many examples of such startups, right? Even OpenAI's ChatGPT is one of them. But the only problem there is that there's a large amount of competition, so they always have to work a large investment, large capitals in R&D, making their teams ready, developing something new, giving people what they want. So the competition is really immense with Claude and with such amazing open source large language models coming up every day that they have to keep working on their models and keep improving. However, excluding that from the image for a second, if you consider on a general aspect, once the model is developed, OpenAI team doesn't really have to do much in maintaining it other than the hardware part, which I'm pretty sure they must be outsourcing to some VM manager such as Google or something. So at the end of the day, or yeah, they're linked by Microsoft now, right? So why am I even saying Google? They must be giving it to Azure or something, some kind of a GPU cluster from Azure. So yeah, it makes sense that they are using that. But if you think about it, once the model is developed and it is working, the team doesn't have much to do, excluding the R&D part. So a great example from today's day. Research needs to be done before prototyping. Yet, for a profitable software product, the process needs to start from the business end. Before you even start prototyping, the following needs to be done in preparation. A preparation that usually takes me around a day or two, and some thinking around what specific problem does my product actually solve, finding a pinpoint, which is actually not okay. I think that's how you develop an idea, but okay, he's saying after developing the idea, these are the steps you need to perform for prototyping. But this one, I think this one is just to come up with an idea. What particular problem do you want to solve? What is your pain point you are tackling? What is the market gap that you are trying to cover? These are the type of questions you need to ask yourself. Who would want to spend how much on a product? Again, a very business specific question. Now, Again, this article, okay, so the article is about monetization, so it makes sense that you need to worry about these things as well. If you are developing just for improving your skills, you shouldn't ever worry about these things, and you should just develop what you aspire to make. Think like Tony Stark. You just want to make something because you want to make it. You don't need to really worry about how would it be used, how would it be useful, who would be using them, how much would the user be willing to pay me for that. Just make something that makes you happy and showcase it. That's how you get jobs, better jobs. Cool. Are there any competitors and how much I have performed them? Am I able to reach these potential customers, and how many of these prospects would actually pay for it? How do I distribute? How much support is required? How do I get paid for my customers? Cool. Very, very deep business things. I'm not sure if you want to do all of these steps when you're trying to develop a simple passive income startup. Doing something traditional, doing something simple that people are already paying for, that there is already a market for, is much more simple than creating your own market. But again, when you're thinking about online space, I think it is much more difficult to compete there, because like most of the traditional business that you see around yourself, whether it's the grocery stores or some kind of a steel manufacturer or something, I'm not sure, or not even steel manufacturer, but so something made from steels. Okay, so some simple factory near your house, or something like that, some paper printing press near your house. Those things are very traditional businesses. They run on the simple USP of having being closer to you, the logistic parts of things. They are manufacturing nearby you, so they have less transportation charges, and they'll be able to give it to you cheaper, and you will also have to have make less efforts to get that product to you. Now when you think about internet, you don't get that root advantage that you get in traditional businesses, so you have to create a USP by other ways. So that could be your technological USP, your customer service, or what else? Or I guess if you have a digital, if you have a physical product to back it up with, then your logistics will start to matter. And I guess, yeah, that's most of the things. Or if you come up with an amazing enough idea, then you can maybe also have a intellectual property. That could be your USP. That's, I think that's a tough one to achieve. You need to be really good at coding, or you need to have a really amazing idea if you want your USP to be uh, intellectual property. Yeah, it's still one of the potential ways. Totally addressable market. Yeah, this is just how you size the market. Yeah, okay. So there are two ways for developers to sell software, either through platforms or direct to customers. If you sell direct, you wouldn't give the cut to the revenue to the platform. However, as an indie developer, imagine managing customers is usually far more expensive and more time consuming than just having a platform to handle them. I personally prefer the platform model as it gives me much more flexibility and peace of mind. Peace. But okay, so yeah, it makes sense. You want distributors. Nokia lost because it didn't have enough distributors, or it rebelled against distributors because it wanted to sell directly, and even after it was such a large company, giving away on its distributor really failed its business model. So yeah, always a good advice to start with your distributors and give have some market share from there as well. It's important. SaaS for business is tedious. Software as a service, a solution and the necessary support around it. I've been there, I've done it. The reason I prefer consumer software through platforms over SaaS for business is the time and investment required in the later. When a company buys software for a reasonable amount, they export support and guidance. Very often they want some consulting. The focus here is not the software but the service that helps them solve their problem. Again, makes a lot of sense when you're working with Firebase or GCP, Google Cloud platform or AWS or something like that, you always want a good customer support service because you will not be able to get your VM to work the right the first time. You will not be able to fine tune the kind of hardware requirements it's need, the kind of software you're running on it, and you need these kind of people to solve them for you because most of the time there would be some kind of a weird memory leak that you will be facing and your software will be bursting out and your site will not be live for a while. So to solve that, you need a good customer support team. So yeah, SaaS are more difficult to develop than normal software. But okay, organic and paid social media, search engines or app stores. Okay, it's mostly going in marketing. Prototyping is a must. Hit the niche. The secret successful niche. It may work out financially. In most cases, it doesn't. You need to define the business plan around the problem. This is a very business centric post. Do I not have any AI specific post in here? These all are. Wow. I think I've been more focused in web development or app development recently. Uh, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do on this channel as well for the projects I have been planning for a while now. Not planning for a while, just thinking about the idea. If I would have planned them enough, there would be a video by now. But okay, let's not talk about the laziness and the sleep I have been having since I have arrived back home for all the festivities. I've just been sleeping for 14 hours a day. Amazing. But okay, we have to work on the projects that I've decided to work on. And we would be developing them as proper products, not just an Jupyter notebook, which we had been doing with this channel for the previous projects we have made. Well, not as such projects. I think the major focus was a research paper at the time, but there's too much fight for it. It's pretty annoying to get your research paper published. It's not that easy. And it's a lot of boring work. You need to have a good partner that enjoys that for whom the work is not boring. I'm not saying the work is boring, I'm saying general, the work is boring for me. Like writing and stuff is interesting for some people and the how to express your thoughts. Haven't you heard about Dostoevsky and stuff? Those people love writing, right? Or many authors for that case. Not going too much into the past as such. Okay, so flat basically. Okay, I'm noting it down. This one. Maybe we can use flat in one of our projects later. I will be developing a web app using React or something. I'll try to do that, but we'll also try flat for app development as such. We'll see if we can convert how quickly we can convert our React application to flat and access it through anything, mobile, desktop, tablet, as they have advertised right here. Let's see, flat for app development. Seamless. So, flat is something we can experiment with in one of our later videos. And I think it's in Python as well, which is great. FD to user control. I'm just going through what it actually looks like. fd.page, fd.app. Okay, looks a lot like Flask as such. I think Flask looks very similar. Flask code looks very similar to me. Okay, this thing is a bit different, but okay, I think it looks pretty simple. You don't even have to write HTML or CSS for that case. Mhm. Okay, we can definitely try this. React to Flat, and let's see how it will look on our phones. Cool. So yeah, we can definitely work with this. Just to give you a sneak peek on the project that I'm thinking of working on, I was thinking that if you guys, you must know about InShorts, right? Most of you who are preparing for UPSC must know about this. Quickest way to get aware of the news as such. I'm not preparing for a UPSC, I'll never prepare for UPSC, but okay, I know about this. So this basically the whole idea of this app is if they ever advertise it somewhere that they give short news, like they give a summarized news and it links to the articles, detailed articles. Read more at AP News, and it's not necessarily their articles. It's a summary of articles posted on other news websites. You see this, and you think, okay, maybe this calls for AI, doesn't it? This definitely calls for AI. When you're just scraping these other websites for the news, then you write a summary out of it, you generate an article, you use an image, which might be the same image as they are using. Is it? No, okay, it's different. Maybe you can use generated image as well. But okay, so this basically I wanted to try. I think I was discussing this idea with one of my friend who readily use InShorts. They were saying that reading the InShort articles definitely doesn't feel like reading AI because it seems to have a very strong opinion about something. It seems a bit biased. And I told them that AI is also biased, but they still said that this kind of biasness feels different. So not researched it enough. Maybe we'll research it while developing the product as well. But yeah, the idea is to develop this kind of a similar website or interface that you're seeing here. But all of this stuff will be updated real time using AI automatically without us interfering into it, and it will also link to the original article. Yeah, and so yeah, maybe you can use Flat in that one. Cool. Let's go to the next article. I'll be closing these one down. Flat I'll be keeping on to read later. 8 Python performance tips I discovered after years of coding in Python. I bet you it must be something boring. Use generators to save memory. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Definitely this one makes sense. You know how sometimes you need to process a huge list of items. Let's see, a million records from a database. Many times storing and retrieving all this memory might be very resource intensive. For our use case, that's when we use generators that help us generate items and hence allocate memory without the need of loading everything at once. Right. Process item for item and items. Oh, okay. This is actually very similar to a list. So this is list comprehension and this is giving me a generator. So I can say data to next to it. Let's quickly test it out. Python and then compiler. So let's say data. Let's first create a list. Array, array. Let's write some random numbers. 4, 2, 3, 1. Let's say our generator. So this tell me let's see. Which is no attribute next. Does it not? How else do you access it? That's how you access in generators, right? Wow, they didn't. They are okay. Search it. Listen. Years of Python coding video don't even show the next one. Print value, print value, print value. Yeah, next. Oh, next is function as such. Okay. Damn. I've not used generators for a while. Wow. And what does it start with? 4 to 3. One more should have been printed, right? I have 4 print statements here. Oh, Jan is just printing out the generator. Okay. Yeah. Using generators is pretty simple. You can use them instead of list comprehensions. Cool. That's a good one. I'll quickly note that one down. Generator instantiation gen is equal to item in era, and then you can finally can access elements using built in next function in Python. So that was generator instantiation to save you some memory. Cool. Good tip. Utilize built-in function and library. Pretty straightforward, I think. Avoid global variables again. Good one. Use list comprehensions wisely. Again, I think the advice is pretty similar. But okay, this makes sense. So again, instead of using a list, you can use a generator is all they are saying to save you some memory, because all things need to be stored in the memory when you are using the results. But here you will only be storing one thing at a time, saving your program some memory, which is good when you're working with edge computing or AI stuff in general, because a lot of memory is wasted when working with these models. Cool. Profile your code. Yeah, okay. That's just more of a debugging step. Yeah, okay, makes sense. So dictionaries and sets in Python uses hashing. If you're aware of hashing, it allows you to look for something in a constant amount of time, which is great for you because it saves you some lookup time, and also when you're saving it after hashing it, it must be having okay no, it not saving memory, sure. It's like hash it as well. But yeah, lookup time is a great advantage, I think, because I've even for DSA many times I've seen that while working on lead count competitions and stuff, most of the time the answer is just to change your data type from list to set, increase the lookup time and reduce the overall time complexity of your code, which is pretty important when you're working on DSA, lead code competitions and stuff. And it's a good interview practice also. And also I think heap is a great structure to be aware of when working with Python. Python uses a library known as heapq, if you have not heard about it. It's really important to be aware of this when you're working with DSA related questions. It really helps. Like Many problems while doing lead code competitions I have been stuck on for half an hour, wasted a whole half an hour, and then later got to realize that I've just had to use a heap instead of the custom built function that I was or class that I was using. So yeah, be careful about that. Be careful with string concatenation. I've heard this before. So basically, instead of adding strings like that, you should use a join function. So let's quickly put it to test. By the way, I wanted to keep it put it to test for a long time now. So what we're doing is import random. For time, s is an empty string for now, and for I include 6000 x plus equal to sharp. Random the choice 0 to 26. 26 alphabets in English. Print s just to see what it looks like. Print and then print start time. Write down total. Yes, by the way, oh, just to check this. Object does not attribute time. So it took 0.0064 seconds. Let's write it down somewhere. So what? Wait a minute, write it down. We are coders, right? And also one more thing we can do is no, let's keep it like this. And let's have another loop. Very similar. And this time we'll be doing append. And finally, before even doing that, so let's see. Where's that plus in here? Oh, okay. So yeah, let's run this. What am I printing? Yeah, I need to print this as well. Okay, I guess there is a slight improvement. Makes sense. That's not significant enough, I think. Even if we have 10,000, 100,000 even, I don't think it would be significant enough. Oh wow, it is significant enough. Wow, it's growing more significantly. Let's have one more zero in here to have an amazing metric. Yeah, let it take a while. We want a good enough metric. So let's see. So this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a million characters. So concatenating a million characters versus joining a million characters. Let's see what the report is here. Wow, it's taking enough. I guess let's let it run in the background for now. Let's read the other tips that we have to improve our Python performance. Okay, pretty simple one actually. It also is good when you're coding because it improves readability. So you can use it to improve your readability as well and also keep your code with as much less lines as possible so that it is less scary for someone who is working on your code after you. It's pretty difficult to see code that has been scattered all over the place. Pretty scary as well. Yeah. But okay, those were all the ones I get. Great performance tips. The best one was, I think, generator instantiation and using. Okay, this one is done. Wow, would you believe that? 1 million characters summed over concatenation takes 53.2 seconds, and 1 million characters joined takes 0.703 seconds. That is a significant difference in time. That's amazing how exponentially that grew. I think the reason for that, if not obvious, is that strings are contiguous in Python. That's what I think it is. Strings are more like array as such. I hope that's the case. But uh, what do you call? Next thing, the oh my god, I'm out of words. Lists in Python are not much like arrays. They are more like a combination of linked list and arrays because they are dynamically sizable, they are heterogeneous as such, so they allow us faster operations by not storing everything, by not trying to find contiguous stores of memory for anything they're trying to do. So that's my explanation of what's going on. There must be a better explanation available out there. If you get to know about it, please write down in the comment section. I'm not going to tire yourself or myself by searching for it right now. But the result is pretty amazing that it takes 53.264 seconds to concatenate 1 million characters using concatenation operation by Python. But if you use the join operation, it only takes 0.70 seconds. The improvement is significant. Now, if you are a person who believes in percentages because you have worked a lot in your data analytics skill because you wanted a job, here you go. I'll give you the numbers. 400. I think I'll have to add some brackets because you know how stupid Google is sometimes. Can't get the Metro's music out of my head. 98.68. That's the reduction, guys. 98% reduction in time. That's amazing. I know you are the statistical guys. In you don't believe me when I just say it takes 0.7 seconds instead of 53 seconds. You want the percentage reduction in time when you're concatenating 1 million characters, and now I have given that to you. So I hope you remember this advice. Always use join operations instead of string concatenation. Great. Now that we have this out of the way, let's go to the next article. Paper walk through vision transformers. Vision transformers, commonly abbreviated as VIT, can be perceived as a breakthrough in the field of computer vision. When it comes to vision-related tasks, it's commonly addressed using CNN-based model, which so far always perform better than any other type of neural networks. It wasn't until 2020 when a paper titled "An Image Worth 16 by 16 Words: Transformers for Image Recognition at Scale," written by Dostovsky et al., was published, which offers better capability than CNN. Fair. Oh, well, you look at the time. It has been 1 hour in the stream, and we have decided that we're doing 1 hour stream daily reading Medium articles, and unfortunately, we are out of time to read this article. How unfortunate is that? Finally, we had a AI specific article in our hand, and now we are out of time. It's pretty sad, you know. It's pretty sad for me as well. But what else can we do? It's what needs to be done, have to be done. We are out of time for this episode. We'll be doing this kind of medium reading articles, reading streams daily. I hope you'll be joining me. I didn't announce this one, so I didn't expect anyone to be here. I just wanted to get a feel of it, and I think it went well. I'll be announcing the next ones though, and I hope you will be there. You must be there. We read through these, we did these experiments. I might be making a short out of this one to market my channel better. And this time it took 127 seconds. Would you believe that? An exceptional result. Your percentages, let me calculate the percentages for you before going out. 127 point whatever it was, 279, because you want higher accuracy, you guys are not satisfied enough. 0.959. And finally 127. Boom, 99.2% reduction. Now you'll want to take the average of the previous one and this one, so 98. And one, you guys are purely statistical, right? Wow, Google still doesn't understand brackets that it needs to put between numbers. 98.6% reduction on average on a dataset of 2 samples. You can take more samples if you want, you can keep running this again, but unfortunately for me, I'm out of time. So that would be all for this episode. We'll be continuing reading this article from here, and we'll also be working on projects on the weekends. So I hope to see you all there. I've already gave you a sneak peek on what we'll be doing on this particular weekend. I hope you're all excited for it. Again, I know no one is here because the stream was not announced, but I hope you'll see the, what do you call it, VOD. I think VOD is the term I've never heard for YouTube live streams, but I think you'll see the like saved version of this live stream on YouTube, and we'll explore more Medium articles in a later stream. And I'll love to get your recommendation on whatever article you find interesting as well, so that we can discuss it live on channel with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you are watching it at a later time of stage, I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye bye. Take care.